Surely not easy for me to choose from whom I should start with the biography coverage, but I think I'll just start with Gus Baha or Kiai Haji Ahmad Bahauddin Nursalim. I will refer him or Kiai Haji Ahmad Bahauddin Nursalim as Gus Baha. That's how we call him. That's how people, in general call him, Gus Baha. I will probably later in other video, I will try to explain what Gus means. Term Gus, G-U-S. It has a particular meaning in the pesantren or in the madrasah in Java, particularly, or in Indonesia in general. I will explain in a separate video. Let's go back to the biography of Gus Baha. Gus Baha is a modern ulama currently serving as the one of the leader of the council or Ra'is Surya of Nahdlatul Ulama. Nahdlatul Ulama is the biggest organization, Muslim organization in the world. Not really know the number of the people, but later, I think latest survey shows it has around 120 or something like that number, million of people identified themselves as a part of or related to Nahdlatul Ulama. We'll explore that later in the organization, Islamic organization coverage. This time we focus on Gus Baha. Okay, Gus Baha was born in 1970s in Narukan. It's actually in the border between Central Java and East Java. So yeah, this meant to be a vlogging, so I won't do a lot of editing. So this is Java, so this is Semarang. So this is Java Island. This is Semarang right here, which is Central Java province capital. And this one is Surabaya. And Gus Baha is from just right on the border of East Java and Central Java in Narukan right there. He is son of a well-known Quran scholar. His name is Nursalim. That's how he got the last name from, Bahauddin Nursalim. His father was very well known because his initiative in the past with Kusmi or Kiai Haji Hamim Jazuli to initiate a Samaan al-Quran, or we can call it a recital of Quran from memory, of course, from the Hafiz or the Qari in Java. I think it's starting around 1970s or early 1980s, I believe, with Kusmi. Their effort was trying to decrease the number of people that illiterate in Quran, and also combating people that drinking, actually the people with the behavior, the drinker behavior. So that's why they were well known for that. So the source said that Gus Baha received an early education from his father. We don't really know his formal education. We believe that he probably finished high school in a formal education. This is normal for those who go to madrasah, focus on Islamic sciences, Islamic knowledge, Islamic ilm. So Gus Baha was also the same, in the same boat. Gus Baha studied Quran and all the knowledges from his own father until teenager time. We don't really know for sure. There is no credible source that's saying in what age he start to get further education from the madrasah of Kiai Haji Maimun Zubair in Al-Anwar, Rembang. Most likely he's probably around, after 15s, most likely. We don't really know for sure. But let's assume that he's, 16, 17, around that, that time. Most likely he already finished memorizing and learning some sciences of Quran from his father, and he start getting further education from jurisprudence or fiqh up to the tasawwuf from Sheikh Maimun Zubair, the late Sheikh Maimun Zubair al-Marhum, or we call him Bah Maimun. Gus Baha is known to have quite eccentric in appearance, meaning that he's just dressing like normal people. He wear the kufi like what I wear here. His style is normally just goes like this way. I just put it like this. This is normally for people who want to get, to rest. They put their kufi like this, or we call this songkok or kopia. That's his style. He wear nothing fancy like my jacket here. He always wears a white shirt and this one, and has a pen on his one of his pocket to write down things that he probably want to write down on his notes. He's very, very modest, not only his appearance but also his his daily living. He's just dressed like this, and teaching. And he's teaching like scholars. He's not teaching like common people. He's actually teaching scholars. So he's rising. He's gaining attention in the internet. I think it's starting after 2015, but he actually started doing a da'wah. He's quite early in 2003. So what happened was, after he finished his education under Kiai Maimun Zubair, of course he need to do the da'wah. And I think after he got married in 2003, the source said that Gus Baha moved to Yogyakarta. In that time, the madrasah in his house, in his place, was led by his own father, Kiai Nursalim. And after he finished his education under Kiai Maimun Zubair, he moved to Yogyakarta with his wife, renting a small place. He was very, very knowledgeable in that time. Quite early, young man, like 33, I assume. He was born in 1970s, so he got married 2003, and afterwards he moved, and he just started doing a da'wah, and his endeavor was started in university actually. So I don't know how, but he just giving a lecture in a university masjid. The university name is UII, Universitas Islam Indonesia, or Indonesian Islamic University in Yogyakarta. Quite well known, one of the oldest university in Indonesia, has a lot of good alumni. So he just teaching there, focusing on the tafsir of Quran and also fiqh for sure. He teaches there for quite some time until his father passed away in 2005. In that time, although he has a older brother, for whatever reason, his father, probably obvious reason, his father chose him to lead the madrasah before his father passed away. And Gus Baha went back to his home and teaching in his madrasah, just like in the past. But he had to leave the university then. However, the university didn't want to let him go, and he made a choice to go back and forth every now and then. I think it's every month until today. So, well, again, how he gained attention actually from this crucial period. So I think in 2015, since the YouTube takes over the media, mainstream media in Indonesia, with the connection, better connection in internet and everything, somehow the people recorded of course they record all his lecture and they just post it on YouTube, and his way of teaching always catches a lot of attention of people. And yeah, that's how he gained a popularity. But actually his ilm is much more higher than that, because he's teaching, he teaches scholars, he teaches doctors, professors, and back home in his madrasa he teaches da'i, the preacher of Islam. Those are, he just mastering, teaching the higher level people, so to speak. However, another unique thing about him is, although he's teaching like higher level of ilm or knowledge in Islam, he actually quite in favor of making things simple. He loves teaching like common people as well, but his way of teaching is, of course, just like in madrasah time, which is reading a kitab and explain from there. We call it pandongan, when the teacher read it and then explain it. Or sometime when he teaches the kind of like a preacher or da'i, we use sorogan, which the student read and then the Gus Baha explain later on. That's how the system in madrasah. I also did the same thing when I was in madrasah, for sure. Yeah, that's how he got his place in the heart of people. But before that, it's actually Kiai Maimun Zubair, or Bah Maimun, was already kind of predict the rising star, because Bah Maimun always mentioned about him. And Bah Maimun was already a big sheikh in Indonesia in that time. But Gus Baha just lay low, as I say, because he's, like I said, he's a very humble person. That's another side of him. Other side of Gus Baha is he loves like doing simple thing with his daughters or his children's. I assume. I'm not quite sure the number of children he has. Anyway, that's not relevant for our discussion. He normally just spotted by people taking his daughters or his children to market or to a grocery store or to a convenience store to grab like ice cream or things like the children wants. This is not quite normal for a high level ulama, especially those who got a lot of attention from people. But he seems doesn't care, and he just wears sarung. Sarung is like cloth, like normal for the Muslim in Indonesia. He wears sarung, white shirt, and have his kufi, goes like this, just ride a bike or motorcycle with his daughters and grab something from grocery stores. That shows how humbleness out of him. Another thing about humbleness from him is he has a very dear murid or students names Ruhin. So he always use Ruhin to explain things that is normally quite how can I say, quite sensitive, but in a sense he wants to teach something. Like for instance, how we deal with wives, how we deal with work, how we deal with stress, something like that. He just keep it simple and use Ruhin as his medium to teach the common folks, and his teaching is having some uniqueness because he said, I am the defender of the awam, of the common people, meaning that the defender here means whatever the common people are doing, he tried to find a justification to make it legible or even worthy of sawab or worthy of a virtue, has a virtue in Islam, such as, for instance, let's say some people, nowadays they focus on learning things in madrasa. They'll focus on learning how to read Quran and everything, which is good. But another, side, dark side of this is when people seeing other like working on the street and something like that, and those who are studying in the madrasa, they tends to see those who are working as kind of like not doing in favor of Islam, right? Like less than what they do in a madrasa. What Gus Baha said is, do not ever think that what you are doing is better than them. They're doing, actually, they're applying what the Sharia suggest or instruct us to do, such as finding a halal rizq or a halal way of incomes through doing trading or working and something like that, which is worthy of virtue in Islam. We can gain sawab from there. We can gain a token of virtue from Allah from there by working. So we should not see people like lower than us. Another thing probably worth to mention is, in most of the time in Indonesian culture, when people try to go to Hajj or Umrah, they normally invite a speaker or preacher to give some sort of like a nasihat or a preach, a sermon in their house to kind of saying goodbye to this people that wants to go to Umrah or Hajj. In general preaching, normally they will mention about what is the virtue of Hajj, what is the virtue of Umrah, and how big of the sawab they're going to get, how the virtue of them, and this is a big thing, and so on and so forth. Well, this is not bad. I mean, this is not wrong at all. However, Gus Baha tends to see from the perspective of the general people in Java, which they don't have money. They want to go to Umrah, but they don't have, that luxurious, money or time and everything. They don't have that, but for sure they want to go to Umrah. So what Gus Baha normally do is encourage these people, these common folk, to do something that actually the virtue is actually resembles or close or probably similar to those who are doing Umrah or Hajj. So that's how he say to himself as the defender of the awam, or defender of the general folk, general people, commoners, peasants, something like that. Another unique thing about him is he always mentioned that I am a master of such and such. It is not out of cocky thing, because he's known of being very, very modest. He's not out of the proudness of him, but he said, the way I say it is like the doctor said, I am a doctor that can do this and this. I'm a specialist of such and such. That's already been given in their title, specialist of what. But in today's media, people tends to deceive people that they want to be known as people that is expert in something, but in fact they're not expert. So in order to combat that situation, Gus Baha normally said, I'm expert in tafsir and blah 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 blah. I'm expert in fiqh of jurisprudence of Shafi'i and blah 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 blah. He tends to say that to affirm his position in the knowledge of Islam, not out of the proudness. And he encouraged other that really have the capacity, that really have the knowledge to do, as such, because in today's world, like I mentioned earlier, that's how Gus Baha, gain attention, and also his uniqueness, and his eccentric way of explaining. Another things that I need to mention, many of his lectures, if you find it in internet today, you'll find it in the language of Java. Even when he explained, like I said, he also teaches in the university, in a masjid of Universitas Islam Indonesia. He normally uses Bahasa Indonesia in there, but the time he reads the kitab, of course, he still use Javanese, because the method utawi iki iku, I will explain it in near future about this method of language, transforming the grammatical language to Javanese. So that's actually, he's, of course, known for that. Many of the comments in YouTube that you find in his recording are normally, people from outside of Javanese regions that tends to comment. I cannot understand, unfortunately, because the language is heavy on Javanese, blah, blah, blah. Javanese is very far branch of Polynesian language compared to Malay. So Malay and Bahasa Indonesia is very related, but Javanese is not quite related. So people that understand Indonesian language, they don't normally understand Javanese. That's why it's also, despite of the language that he chooses, he doesn't really try to impress somebody or things like that. He just use what normally done in the madrasah. Another things that is also worth notice from him is, despite of his high position in the university, in the eyes of common people, even in the eyes of the government, like right now, like I mentioned earlier, he's holding one of the leader of the council, Rais Surya, in Nahdlatul Ulama, but he doesn't really care what people think about him in terms of the position. Like he normally do a self-critics to Nahdlatul Ulama, for instance. Some of the leaders of Nahdlatul Ulama, for instance, I spot him when he delivers a sermon in Nahdlatul Ulama central office in Jakarta. He tends to criticize some of the people there that cannot read the kitab or cannot fluently read the Arabic and explain, not only read but also understand Arabic. So that's another side of him. He doesn't really do a PR. He just he do a self-critics, which is good. Another good thing about him is he's try to balance between the fiqh, oriented to, and also the tasawwuf and tazkiyatun nafs. He balanced the fiqh, understanding with the tafsir as well. He balanced the fiqh, the heavy fiqh on Shafi'i, with the tolerance to other that do other madhab. For instance, in Indonesia, especially in Universitas Islam Indonesia, predominantly probably over there is not Shafi'i, or maybe it's Shafi'i, but they got influence from other place, such as they got influence from Muhammadiyah, which using tarjih. I will explain that also in our initiations. They use, for instance, they don't do kunut. Kunut is the recitation after the ruku for the Shafi'i madhab, for the subuh prayer or the morning prayer. This cause a tension between the common people, because they don't know the differences of the ikhtilaf, or the the differences among the scholars in the past. In both ways, they tend to argue about these things, the ikhtilaf things, and Gus Baha try to bridge these differences, by saying all of us is Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. We do not differentiate Ahlus Sunnah by doing kunut or not doing kunut things. That's not how we differentiate Ahlus Sunnah from others, and such and such. So in particular, he is very focused on tafsir. So you will know that his biography, probably his works, his books, his kitab, probably mainly written in tafsir, but he's heavy on fiqh as well, because he was focusing on fiqh at the time he's in Al-Anwar. Since he's early, probably late teenager or maybe early 20s, he was already been given a position to be leader of a fiqh or jurisprudence discussion in his madrasa, which is, high rank for the madrasa students. So things like that. Overall, he's kind of like, I can say he's well-rounded ulama. He know how to deal with people from a higher level of the government until ruhin, the common people, the common folks, people with daily activities, people with peasants, farmers, fishermen, things like that. He can deal with everybody. That's pretty much what he is, and he is he's focusing on the tafsir, but he's like well-rounded ulama, because he can explain all the kitab from tafsir, fiqh, muqarana, fiqh, comparison of fiqh, and also the aqidah, for instance, and for sure he also most of the time also focusing as well for the tazkiyatun nafs or tasawwuf. I think that's enough introduction for him. Hopefully you get the picture of the ulama in this modern time. He's right now he's 54. If you see him in a picture, he looks a lot younger than that, because he's always smiling. His way of teaching, when you find in the internet, for sure he's explaining things like complicated stuffs with super simple stuff. That's what make him very unique. So and loved by everybody. Yeah, that's it, and I'll see you in the next video.